You see, when I set the guys up, I like them to be like in a football position. So Bernie's throwing. You got Metcalf in the slot. Webster's coming across. You're on. Frank's playing defense.
In my ears.
You're
Welcome
fine.
back,
You don't
dummy.
need that. We got Kevin Mack back here at running back. When I set the guys up on the desk, I like them to be in football positions.
Smart. I like that.
I think if you're going to do a show with Browns guys on the desk, then let's put them in positions to be successful.
To make plays.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
This is Cleveland Browns Daily. It's 70 degrees out, or they're approaching. I'm in shorts.
Which is beautiful.
And I'm at the point of the year where I make the commitment to shorts probably from here on out. It would take snow to keep me out of shorts from here on out. That's where I'm at with this.
Love a short.
Guess who's back? Back again. Shady's back. Tell a friend. How are you, buddy?
I'm great. Great. Fresh off of a tremendous trip down to Disney
R&R?
and to Universal Studios. Me, the kids, the Nana of the show, who was really an MVP, or she called it the MPV of.
Oh, really?
She gave herself a little MPV title, which we all thought was very, very funny. But
yeah,
just a great trip.
She just misspoke MVP. She just inverted.
Yeah, which is great.
It's amazing.
Now is going
So
everywhere
great.
on our family chat. We
I
love
love
it.
it.
The
Yeah.
MPV chance
MPV.
raining in for Nana, but. It couldn't have gone better, honestly.
Great.
And the best part was, while I was away, nothing happened Browns
quiet.
related, so that I could just roll right back in here and pick up, and we
didn't
could have
miss
some
anything.
banter and have some fun.
Yeah, we'll do a little fun. I tell you, if you want to start doing some position reviews, we can do that today. We can really get back into those. Start at the quarterback position, work our way through from
Yeah.
there.
Is that where we
could
should
do that?
start? Yeah.
What you missed was I had a 38% Monday show. I started the show with a 38% voice.
Well, Monday I did join you. I
You did,
remember.
yeah.
I
But
recall
even
from-
by the time that you joined, it had improved to like in the 40s to 40%.
your first words were rough because I was
Very
on
rough.
hold for the
Oh,
very
you were?
beginning.
Yeah. It
And
crackled. It
then
was
you
no
brought
good.
me in. I was
It was
in
no
line at a Hagrid's coaster and was ready to ride on that, which was a lovely, lovely time in the wizarding world of Harry Potter.
Wonderful.
But yeah, just
And then yesterday, I had
Yeah.
matriculated all the way up to in the 50s. Today, I feel like I've kind of settled into where maybe this is just going to be what my voice is. My doctor tells me, well, you need to rest it. Not bloody likely. Not likely. But I won't talk as much today. Today, I will leave it to you.
Thank you.
As you, where do you want to start?
You tell me.
This has been a day, brother. It's been a 24-hour day.
I've got many notes.
I think everybody knows where we are at this point. I mean, yesterday on the show, there were all sorts of reports of us going to Houston. Those reports have been confirmed around the league that Browns contingent was in Houston meeting with Deshaun Watson. Those reports were from very reputable sources. And then last night, you get a letter from your starting quarterback, Baker Mayfield, who is still a Cleveland Brown, a letter to Cleveland that he put on his social media. The one thing I will say is this is something that this is a big change in terms of the way athletes can communicate directly with fans and with their fans and with the public at large. Social media has been a total game changer in that. You don't need to find somebody to go do a story with you. In the old days, you'd have to find Peter King or you'd find a local reporter and you do your message that way. He was able to get on social media, something Baker hasn't been on, in quite a while, and get on and get his message across. So that sets the table for where we are today on this beautiful 70-degree day, my friend.
It certainly does. All right, so let's start with Deshaun Watson, the Browns' pursuit of Deshaun Watson. We've said for a long time on this program, quite frankly, that the teams that would not even consider talking to Deshaun Watson are probably very, very small, and they're pretty easy to name off the top of your head.
I think on yesterday's show, I think I named 6 or 7 who wouldn't at least go, hey, should we talk about this?
Yes.
Mahomes, Burrow, Herbert, Allen, Wilson, Stafford,
Rodgers, Brady
now. Brady's back.
Yeah. So
he's back too. You missed that.
That's a quarter of the league. Yeah. That was
a little bit going on. It's a lot going on.
Quarter of the league there. So that leaves 3/4 of the league looking to get a quarterback in that realm. And we even said, obviously the number one priority this offseason for the Browns was improving the quality of their passing game. That has come. You've seen the trade for Amari Cooper, which you and I have talked about already, but we'll talk about more. And that comes from better play at the quarterback position, and whether that means getting Baker Mayfield back to the form that he had in the second half of 2020 under Kevin Stefanski, where he threw 20 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, played the best football of his career in Kevin Stefanski's offense, then that is one option. The other option is to pursue any and all possible scenarios in which to upgrade the quality of play at that position. So this should not be a surprise to anybody that the Browns would be kicking the tires on this, especially now when you're thinking about being in a conference that has, of those 8 teams that you just mentioned,
6
at least, right?
Yeah.
5 for sure, and then maybe even up to 6, because it's Stafford, Rodgers, and Brady in the NFC.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody else here in this division. But Lamar, 2 years removed from being the MVP. Now, they haven't signed to a long-term extension yet. So that tells you that they probably have even had some discussions about what to do at the quarterback position. That's just the reality of the situation. It's an arms race. I said that weeks ago. And so I'm not surprised at all that the Browns would kick the tires on it. I'm not here to debate with anybody here the morality of it. Let's just all remind ourselves of one thing. At the end of the season, there are 0 awards given out. There is 0 job security given out to organizations or to people running organizations for putting together the roster of the 53 best guys in the NFL. That doesn't exist. So it is about winning. And as we sit here today, he was cleared of criminal charges. There will be no criminal charges put forth against him. Is it a gray area? Yes. Is it ideal? No. Is anybody thrilled with it? Of course not. But there are guys currently on our roster and on many rosters in the NFL who have had transgressions off the field. And in the NFL, as they say, and you can go to college and Nick Saban. What does Nick Saban say? I'm willing to put up with some stuff if you can justify it on the field. The second that your stuff outweighs what you are able to do, not dealing with it. And that's just the way that the National Football League works. I mean,
that's how life works, man.
It is. It is. There are plenty of people, and take any walk of business. There are plenty of companies with great salespeople who may have drug problems, may be doing immoral things. But you know what? They make a lot of money for their company, so you're willing to put up with it. The second that they don't, then you won't. That's just the reality of the situation. You don't have to like it. Nobody has to like it. And I'm sure people are going to get all up in arms. I'm not here to comment one way or another on the morality. What I'm here to comment on is, does Deshaun Watson make the Browns a better team if he ends up being the quarterback? Yes. Now, the Browns have a quarterback on their roster right now who has done a lot of great things for this franchise. The question is, in the minds of not us, not you, of the people who are running this organization, I would say Barry, Stefanski, DePodesta, do they feel like he is the guy they can win with? Look, Jared Goff, go look at his stats with the Rams. Jared Goff took that team to the Super Bowl. Jared Goff was a darn good quarterback, and they sent him out of here no problem for Matt Stafford, and guess what? They ended up winning a Super Bowl.
I'm going to pull that up while you're talking because I don't know that people realize exactly what that is. Continue.
We're talking like almost 70% completions, great touchdown-interception ratios, good yards, all of that. And that's just kind of the reality, and that's a guy that they gave an extension to as well in Jared Goff. This is just the National Football League. This is the most important position in all professional sports, and the supply and demand is way out of whack. Way out of whack. There is not the supply to meet the demand for all 32 teams. So that's what it is. Now, on the other side of it, you have Baker Mayfield. You have Baker Mayfield, who says, I took you to the playoffs. I ended the drought. I'm the first guy to win a playoff game in a quarter century. I'm the first guy that's won a playoff game on the road in 50-plus years, what it was at the time. I've given everything. I played hurt. All of that. All valid. So I'm not surprised. He's a guy who plays with emotion. I'm not surprised he was emotional about this, and that's what you got in this letter. Very heartfelt letter to the city of Cleveland. I don't know how to interpret it. I'm not going to try to interpret it. I'll take it for exactly what it said, that he loves Cleveland. He gave everything he had to this organization, and that Cleveland will always be special to he and his wife. Where do we go from here? Folks, we're in the same boat as you.
Well, I don't think anybody except Deshaun Watson knows because he holds all the cards.
All the cards. All the cards.
Well, nearly all the cards. The Houston Texans own one final card, and that this is something that I talked about yesterday on the show that I don't think is getting enough attention here in regard to this situation as it pertains to Watson. He is going to be aware of the deal that is going in return for his services. In other words, he will know what the package is from the Saints. He will know what the package is reportedly from Carolina, reportedly from us, from Atlanta if it comes to that, if those are the teams. If there's a mystery team, if the 49ers somehow got into this, he would know what the package is that would be going in return for his services. He has signed up for the next 4 years. It's a 4-year, $156 million deal. That deal starts this year. It's the first year of the deal, okay? So he signed up for the next 4 years. He will have an ability to control the quality of the team that he is going to a certain extent. My hunch is he is not going to want to go to a gutted team and play for a team that is not competitive. And if you look at the situations that are out there, I think he's probably smart enough and his people are smart enough to say, hey, if these people are going to trade for us, fine, give up the picks. But you can't give me up players. You can't give up quality players. Though he has power in this. Houston has a final power because they can say, look, if you don't let us get what we want out of you, then we'll just sit your butt all next year too. And they could do that. So they have the final power, but he has a lot of power. He has a lot because a deal cannot get done without his say-so.
And I think ultimately he's got the vast majority because based on what we've been told, for the Texans to have a team meet with Watson, they've accepted their offer already.
Yeah.
So those are on the table, and Watson's going to decide ultimately where he wants to go. It's going to be a very interesting 24 hours, I think, for the Browns, and it's a Browns team that looks significantly different than the Browns team looked when I boarded a plane on Friday morning and headed down to Florida. Significantly different. So we will talk about that as well. What we know right now is from the Watson standpoint is that he has met with the Panthers, he has met with the Saints, he has met with us, and he's meeting with the Falcons supposedly today.
I have not seen any confirmation on the Falcons meeting that it took place.
It has not taken place yet. It was supposed, I think, this afternoon if it was going to happen this afternoon.
And by the way, the fact that they're willing to meet with them, they restructured Matt Ryan's deal. That would put Ryan theoretically in the mix.
So there are a couple of things that are out there beyond Watson. So, right, if they're in the mix, is Matt Ryan available? And is that something that I have no idea. For people who think that Baker's letter was just in response to the Browns meeting with the Texans and that this situation just kind of came out of nowhere and now it's sending everything into chaos. Because I've seen a lot of talk of, well, now, number one, the Browns shouldn't be surprised. I don't think anybody is, that Baker would be upset that this is happening. Baker shouldn't be surprised that the Browns are looking to upgrade the most important position in all of sports either. Nobody should be upset. Does that mean the relationship can't be mended? I don't know. We'll find that out, I guess, in the coming days. But the fact, people thinking that it's a surprise that the Browns are doing this and now this dominoes dropping. Folks, if this is plan A, Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski and Paul DePodesta, if I know anything about them, have plan B, C, and D and have had them in place for a long, long time. What they are, I don't know. I have no idea. So we'll find out. We're going to find out here over the next few days exactly what is going to happen as it relates to the Cleveland Browns and the quarterback position. So in a way, we're kind of on hold at that spot. And while Baker Mayfield is the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns as we sit here right now, on some level it certainly feels like perhaps, that letter he wrote had a lot of past tense in it with the city of Cleveland. So we don't really know what necessarily is going on there. I'm sure he was emotional, and he sent that out there. And so where this all settles, we'll find out. We'll find out where it all settles.
Does that guy not look like Walker from Yellowstone?
He does. It's an incredible look.
I mean, it's the same hat.
It is. If he starts playing guitar, I'm going to be really impressed.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
It's good to have you back.
It's great to be
and
back.
We have a lot to
it's
get
great
to
be
because
out.
We have a bunch of transactions beyond this one that hasn't been consummated yet. We have a bunch that have, and we're going to get your thoughts on those coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Business operations suffering from internal communication breakdowns. Beau Bishop here from my friends at EOX Vantage. Their data scientists are also business operations experts. Your EOX Vantage team helps build your streamlined communication system that brings things together, your email, your chat, your intranet announcements, CRM into one clear flow. Your people, including those who work remotely, gain a centralized hub that encourages collaboration. No more disconnected communication methods. Leave team members out of the loop or not on the same page. Real everyday business problems solved with EOX Vantage. See how other business owners are getting everyone on the same page by visiting EOXVantage.com.
All right. I still can't hear you at all.
Even still not? I was trying to turn it up for
you.
You
got a bad cord. I'll have to change
I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it
out.
Nobody's worried about it. I'm not worried about it. That's for sure.
Is it better or worse with the headset on? Is it better with them off?
I don't know.
You don't know.
Doesn't make a difference.
Welcome back.
Yeah. So in terms of what you missed beyond that, there's some of this stuff was very predictable. It's interesting how, misinformed or uninformed some people are who pay attention to this football team, like acting as if like, look, and we talked at length yesterday about J.C. Tretter and how generous he was on our time. We told the stories of seeing him playing shuffleboard with Joel. When he used to be in the building, that was an everyday occurrence. We would see those guys playing shuffleboard. As Gibby mentioned, in the offseason, he's here every day, J.C. Tretter was. He spent hours with us on Game of Thrones. Hours with us.
Yeah.
Drove, to Gibby's point, to the golf outing to do the last one with us because we were at the golf outing.
Yeah.
And he did the last one with us on his own time. He wasn't even here. Like, he did that on his own time.
I love J.C. Tretter.
He's valued and he is awesome. And it was great that he was here. But this notion that somehow not seeing that was going to have to be a parting of ways, I just feel like some people don't understand how the NFL works.
No, they don't understand how the NFL works, and you get excited about getting a guy like Amari Cooper. Well, there's a monetary price that comes with that, and business is going to have to happen, and that's the hard part of the business. J.C. Tretter, in addition to being a great guy, is as tough a person as I've ever seen. Didn't miss a snap with the Browns except for due to COVID, and the one time he did, there were so many times when I thought for sure that his situation on the sideline that I was observing indicated to me he was incapable of going back in the game and playing. Went back in every single time. He was reliable. He was an elite performer. He was one of the top-graded pass-blocking centers in the league, top 5 each of the last few years at Pro Football Focus. He's a stud. And am I bummed for him that he will not be with the Cleveland Browns? I am. I saw a report yesterday while I was still down in Florida that he was going to the Bengals. Did you see that?
I don't know reporting of that. The Bengals signed 2 guards, one of which can play center. Karras from New England.
Nothing from the Bengals yet, but a lot of people think
I think
that
people
that
just
would be a
connecting
good
the
fit.
dots that it would make a lot of sense, protect Burrow.
Gotcha.
But they did spend big money on 2 guards, 2 of the better ones that were out there in the market. They were aggressive on day one.
Yeah, you would think you got to protect your guy there that got you to the Super Bowl, and Joe Burrow. JC was fantastic for the Browns, and that's it. I mean, that's the bottom line. He is a fantastic player. He's a fantastic guy, much like Jarvis. And now I think we were closer personally with Jarvis, but not much. I mean, JC was up there. JC's up there in the list of guys that have spent the most time with us that we really, really enjoyed. And so you are bummed to not be able to, to keep him, but you can't keep everybody. And that's why you draft players, and that's why you make moves the way that you do. And one of the moves that the Browns made a couple of years ago when they moved back in the second round and picked up an extra 5th-round pick, what did they do? They used that to draft a guy by the name of Nick Harris. And if you go and you look at the game, Nick Harris started for J.C. Tretters against the Green Bay Packers on Christmas. It was a very important game for the Browns. He had 44 pass-blocking snaps in that game. Guess what? He did not give up a single pressure in that game. We ran for 8 yards a carry, 9 yards a carry in that game. Nick Harris played very, very well. He graded out very, very well at Pro Football Focus for the Browns in that game. And so I think they feel like 2 years in the system, he was ready to take over, and that they think that they've got a guy in Nick Harris who can play that position, maybe not as well as JC. JC's a stud. JC, I thought, was one of the most unappreciated guys from the league perspective, in the sense that he's a Pro Bowl center and never got to be. But now that's why you drafted Nick Harris. That's the kind of succession planning that you need to have for the Cleveland Browns. You need to be able to draft those guys so that they're ready to step in when you need to allocate your resources in other ways. And I think they feel pretty good as well about now. You've got, remember, Blake Hance played a lot for this football team. He's really an interior lineman, worked some at center. Michael Dunn's worked some at center. So from the guys that you've got here right now, you have players that are capable of playing for you in that position. And so that's why these difficult decisions are made. And certainly JC will be missed much like our great friend Jarvis Landry will be missed.
Absolutely. And everything that you just laid out about J.C. Treader is reportedly in the same, very similar conversation with Austin Hooper, which there's reports that he will be released by the time it's June, retroactively reportedly, that will be the case to make more room for the it ends up that and you knew this, we talked about this even when we, upon signing, that this you're coming to come a point when the money that's guaranteed is not owed, that it's going to be hard to keep them just based on everything you have. This franchise is in a very different situation than it was coming out of the 1-31 times.
Much.
Very different. You have to pay a lot of people.
Yep.
You're trying to be a Super Bowl contender. It's a very different spot. You can't spend lavishly, and there have to be casualties. This is the reality of the National Football League, kids. This is the big boy business of the NFL. It's this, and it sucks. And sometimes you lose great people, but that's part of it. And we lost two guys. I mean, you think about, from our perspective, just selfishly, I mean, there aren't too many people that have been on this show more than Jarvis, JC, Money Mitch, like those, Kirko. Like, these guys have been on this show with us more than anybody has in the last few years. So this is the deal.
Cole?
Oh, my God, Cole, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, that's the nature, unfortunately, of this business, and that's why I never blame players for doing anything on their side to make sure they get as much money as they can while playing the game. That's why the notion of taking team-friendly deals is always silly to me. Now, some people may take a deal for less money because they believe it will bring them more glory. They will be able to win Super Bowls, but, that's it. That's why these decisions are made. And Austin Hooper, I give him a lot of credit. He came in here and played a role that he had not played in Atlanta, and he blocked and he did the work and he did everything that he could to make this football team better, much to the sacrifice of his own personal statistics. So he is somebody that I think in other systems where he's just flexed out the whole time and is playing against a lot of zones, and he will be excellent in that respect. And so I think he will be just fine. But he's another guy, two-time Pro Bowler, quality player. Now, David Njoku, that's why he was franchise tagged. He's going to get to step up. We all wanted it. I want to see the guy get 1,000 snaps, 800 snaps, get 100 targets, see what he can do. Well, I think we're going to get that. Harrison Bryant, and then there's some free agents still at the tight end position that I think are very attractive that would fit kind of the profile of some of the things that we have done in the past. And I'll just throw out one name because I'm pretty sure he's still a free agent. Again, I didn't see everything that was going on while I was out.
Busy.
But I'm pretty sure he's still a free agent, and maybe he's not. Is O.J. Howard a free agent?
As far as I know, I have not seen
Working on it.
I mean, there's been so much. It's been a constant.
But he's a guy, former first-round pick.
Yeah.
Definitely has not out of Alabama, has not necessarily lived up to what he had. But if he's somebody, he feels like a guy the Browns would kick the tires on a one-year deal. But just throwing out names. But there are still options out there.
So in terms of, well, real quick, if you have one more thing.
No. Just this is part of the business, and you're clearing space. And here's the thing, again, another thing that I heard on Twitter
be careful
that I've been reading.
Dicey.
This is going to, if the Browns get Deshaun Watson, it's going to divide the locker room, and people are going to be upset. It isn't, and I can tell you that from talking to, personally, numerous players in this league and past players of this organization. Not 1% would that divide the locker room. You know why? Because people believe that Deshaun Watson will bring winning, and winning will help these people make more money, and they will welcome that with open arms. They will. That's just a fact of the business. Here's the other
one other side note on him. Obviously, as everything he's been dealing with for the last year and a half is real and certainly not to be minimized. Previous to that point, this is a guy whose reputation was sterling gold. If you go back to him at Clemson, you go back to his early days in Houston. I know people who covered him when he was at Clemson. I know people who certainly played with him. You do in Houston. Everybody, you say, what type of dude is he? Great dude. That was the consistent. It was one of the things when in his evaluation from him as in the draft class was that he was the most impressive kid in the draft. the questions people had on him had nothing to do with that. Now, that doesn't minimize what's happened. What's happened is certainly worthy of the amount of attention it gets, but let's also remember what he was before all of this came to light.
No doubt. No doubt.
That's whether he comes here or not. That's just the reality.
The other thing is, I know people on Twitter who are saying these things. Aren't you also reading numerous free agents, including the biggest free agent for the Saints, Terron Armstead, are waiting to see where Watson goes because they want to go play with him. Yeah. Armstead won't go back to the Saints if they don't land Watson. Will Fuller is not signing anywhere until he finds out where Watson goes because he wants to go play with Deshaun Watson again.
Right.
By the way, nice vertical threat that you could get probably cheaply on a 1-year prove-it deal. It is the league, and I'm sorry that this saddens people that they expect there to be moral sins. Because my question is, where does it stop? Because all of a sudden, if you go through it and we're doing strictly morality here on who's allowed to be on this Browns team's roster or any team in the NFL's roster, how many guys are you left with? Like, it's just the reality of the situation. It doesn't minimize anything like that. And I can speak from my own personal experience, and you're welcome to if you'd like to as well or not. But I've talked to a lot of people of both genders about this. A lot of people, not one person that I talked to, male or female, and I'll emphasize female in this, have said, no, I don't want him to come to this team. I'll stop being a Browns fan. I haven't heard anything like that.
I think a lot of people on it don't know all the facts about it. That's the other part. But again, that is really, it's something that when you think big picture, understand that, to your point earlier, there are 32 teams in this league. 24 are going to try and kick the tires on this because that's how good he is. That's how good he is. And that's what people are doing their due diligence. These are multi-billion-dollar franchises.
Yep.
That are making these decisions. It reverberates in a lot of ways. Really smart people are at the head of most of these things, and they know what the reaction is going to be to this type of pursuit. It's known. As we get back to a couple of things that we've brought in, we have had some additions. We mentioned Amari Cooper. You and I have talked about that. Taylor Bryan comes in as well. Let me just go through these, and then you can kind of pick the ones you want. This was another one, a guy who, I said this yesterday on the show, he was with us all the time on the coaches show, Mac Wilson, the Mac Hammer going to New England for Chase Winovich. Gibby, I think, said this really well yesterday. He said, look, that might be a case where it's good for both guys to just get a change of scenery and maybe get on the field a little bit. And then the report from Kimberly Martin this morning that we're finalizing a 1-year deal with Anthony Walker to return to the defense. So those are some of the comings and goings other than just the goings that we've been discussing. Yeah.
Well, let's start with Amari Cooper here. This is a guy who's been over 1,000 yards in 2 of the last 3 seasons. You think about, in 3 of the last 4 seasons, and in his career, which is he's been a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times over 1,000 yards out of 7 seasons. Productive, number 1 legitimate receiver. I remember him with Oakland, just an incredible route runner, and a guy that is productive at also getting the ball into the end zone, which is ultimately what you want to do. 21 touchdowns the last 3 years there in Dallas. I think this is a great move for the Browns. It's something they needed badly. I don't think that they are nearly done in terms of looking for receivers. I still think it's very much in play at 13. I think it's still very much in play in free agency going forward. Some of the things we saw, a guy like Christian Kirk getting paid, what he got paid is just astonishing to me.
It really was.
But maybe he goes and he becomes the best receiver in the league. I don't know. But there are going to be guys for the Browns out there to, I think, continue to maneuver and add to this roster. And I think that is a position that is still significantly going to be addressed. Jakeem Grant, Pro Bowl returner last year, averaged nearly 12 yards a punt return. He has a punt return touchdown. He has a kick return touchdown. This is the guy for his career, over 24 yards per kick return. This is an elite special teams player, 24.5, 97 as well in terms of his, 10.3 in terms of his punt returns. He had the longest punt return in the league last year, 97 yards. He has scored a touchdown on a punt return in 3 of the last 4 seasons. He has at least 1 touchdown as a returner in 4 straight seasons with 5 total. That's incredible.
Sure
is. I'm hard pressed to even come. Travis Benjamin is my guess, maybe the last guy that scored a punt return touchdown for the Browns. That's in one. That would be in a weekly, the last time it happened. But you're going back always for a Browns special teamer that scored a touchdown. And you've got a guy who's done it now in 5 straight years, was a Pro Bowler a year ago. I think that is excellent news for the Browns. I'm sure Mike Prefer is happy about that. Now, not to mention, Grant's a guy with a little bit of juice in the receiving game. Now, you're going to use him a ton? No, but last year with the Bears, 9 catches, 139 yards, averaged just about 10 yards a target, and scored twice. So he's got some speed, obviously. This is not a huge addition to the receiver room. I'm not touting it as such. He is here to be a returner, but he also has the ability to do some things for you as a special teams, as a receiver as well. And so we'll see what happens, with that. But he's brought here as a returner. Chase, and how do you say his last name?
Chase Winovich. Yep. Michigan kid.
Yeah, 5.5 sacks each of the first 2 years, was top 15, I think, in pressure rate 2 years ago, had an injury last year, fell out of favor. This is, as you said, a win-win trade. I think Mack Wilson is an off-the-ball linebacker, fits kind of that Dante Hightower mold they like in New England.
Yep.
And he played well. We love Mack, the fluid one. This is Winovich. I think the idea right now is that you would use him kind of in that Tack McKinley role as your third pass rusher.
Right. That's what I said yesterday. He would be the third guy who comes in. If you're in that package where you go the 3 defensive ends, I forgot what we called it last year, where you go Miles, Tack. There were a couple of times we would have like the 3 D ends and the rush scenarios. He would be the third guy coming in on that. That's what Chase Winovich would do. And I think he could do it at a very high level. He's not the answer opposite Miles, but he could fit in the Tack mold. He's got a big-time motor. We saw that from his time at Michigan, and that's exactly the role that he'll be in here.
Right. Couldn't have said it better, so I won't. You said it. You said it perfectly. Taven Bryan is a guy who's flashed some, former first-round pick, 1-year prove-it deal. I think right now you'd have to pencil him in as a starter or at least part of the 3-man rotation with the guys we know will be here, Togiai and Elliott. I still think there's work to be done at that defensive tackle position going forward for the Cleveland Browns. So there still is a lot. You made some rotational additions on the D-line. Yeah. You need more, though. We still need that starter opposite Myles Garrett. I still think you could be drafting one of these guys first or second round, and I think that's still true at receiver. I mean, later on we can kind of go through everything where it all stands now for the Cleveland Browns, but there still remain plenty of question marks remaining for the Browns in terms of what that lineup will look like that you would field today. However, you are still – everything is kind of on hold in a sense until we answer the biggest question mark, which is who's playing quarterback for this team.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole – it feels like, honestly, right now in the NFL free agency as well because – and Gibby and I noticed this yesterday. Once the second hour of the show yesterday and then through last night and into this morning, it does feel like the league is a little bit on hold right now. And the new league year doesn't officially start until 4 o'clock. But that the league is kind of on hold until we get an answer on Watson. You get an answer on Watson, then I think you'll see some things start to fly a little bit because people are going to have to make other moves depending on what is decided there. So it's holding up.
There's no doubt, and it goes back to it again. There are players around the league that are very, very good players that are waiting on his decision because they want to play with him.
Correct.
That's just a fact. Like, don't shoot the messenger. That's just a fact. And I'll tell you another thing that I heard through the grapevine, and I'm going to pull a monster combine move here on everybody.
Oh, my God.
And that I've heard from what I would call a very good source that there is going to be a major trade in the NFL. I mean, a superstar going to a team that has strong Super Bowl aspirations, and that if that superstar trade does in fact happen, potentially a quarterback that we're not talking about who's pretty darn good might be more available than we've thought.
Oh.
But I can't tell you now.
Coming up next, Adam Kaplan.
I got updates for you. O.J. Howard's a free agent.
Oh, there you go.
Good.
Last punt return for a touchdown, 2015. The Rabbit, 78 yards.
Nailed it.
Last kick return for a touchdown, 2009. Josh
Cribbs. That's what I thought. I thought so.
All right, there you go.
Way to go, Kaplan.
He's on it. He's on
there
it.
You
Absolutely
go. Thank
on
you.
It. All right, we'll go around the league coming up next. Of course, keep you updated on all of the free agent news as it happens here on Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. A lot of bad advice out there about gambling, from secret methods to picking lottery numbers to betting big when you're on a roll. The myths can lose you money, and they get you in a lot of trouble. So before you wager, find out what's real and what isn't at keepitfunohio.com. As we go around the league, proposed rule changes in advance of the owner meetings in a few weeks. The Colts and Eagles proposal allows both teams an opportunity to possess the ball in overtime. Then there's a Titans overtime proposal that is out there. Allows both teams an opportunity to possess the ball in OT unless the team with the first possession scores a touchdown and a successful two-point try.
I like this one.
I just like I like the idea. I guess what we're trying to, and then you'll just make an amendment off of that because teams will be so good at 2-point plays that we'll have to make an amendment off of that. Why not just make each you get a ball, each get the ball. That's it.
I'm fine with it. That's easier.
You know, it's just easier.
I do like the 2-point thing because you have to score a touchdown.
Why not just do this then? Let's put them both together. Both teams get the ball, and you have to go for 2 right away. No kicks. Go for 2 right away.
Fine
Sold.
with it. By the way,
and turn off the stats, by the way. Turn off the stats because that drives me nuts. You don't need people taking the college stats and throwing 8 touchdowns in a game.
People are fired up. It's
No, they're not. It's just a couple dudes on Twitter.
No.
It'll be all right.
About the tees that I gave.
Oh, your tees.
The tees. Yeah, people are excited about the tees.
The people.
Just saying, we'll see it. And when
it's like an Albright drop.
If and when.
It was a Kaplan.
Even
it
was
Kaplan.
Pure.
Is what it was.
But I gave you more than he would give you.
It was Kaplan at the combine.
Yeah.
Well,
I said it. I told you that. I said I'm taking you to the combine, peak combine.
Yeah.
If it happens, it will be the most obvious and you're like, yeah, that should have happened a long time ago.
Yeah.
Type of a deal. And then I think it just brings more QBs into the mix. So we'll
just
see.
so you guys are aware, I know. Lucky me.
Lucky you.
Lucky me.
Perks.
Lucky. It's a perk of being a big B alongside
Huge B.
you, buddy.
That's right.
Very much is. This is now official now, and it's been crazy what has happened. And I don't know why all of a sudden this was the offseason that we decided, well, we have to pay everybody who does NFL games a bunch of money. I don't know if people just have a bunch of excess money. By the way, if you'd like to pay us a whole lot more, we'll take it too.
Shout.
We're for it. The new voices of Monday Night Football, Joe Book and Troy Aikman. Bucks deal, and I don't know how these get out. 5 years, 65. Aikman, 5 years, 90. Aikman's worth $25 million more than Buck over a 5-year period?
I guess.
Really? Feels like they're equal. It feels like if you had Buck, it'd be easier to find the Aikman than having the Aikman and not having the Buck. Am I misreading that?
They say, well, TV is an analyst game, so we're talking $13 million a year for Buck, $18 million a year for Aikman. My guess is, though, you're going to get a lot more mileage out of that Buck because the play-by-play guy, he's multi-sport. You can utilize him in a variety of facets. It feels like a lot for Aikman. I mean, Aikman's making that's more money than I think he probably made. For sure, billion percent in any 5-year span.
And I would imagine it's as much as he's made as an entire announcing career combined. Yeah. I would think. There's no way. I mean, those were $3-4 million a year jobs. They weren't. Why all of a sudden did they become $18 million a year jobs?
Stupid Tony Romo.
Well, CBS paid him.
Yeah. That goes back to what we've been saying all week. So if someone's going to call you and throw a bunch of money at you.
Question, because
Mr. Zegura,
this happened while I was out. My question is, how is Aikman? I mean, I know Aikman was a free. His contract was up. How did they get Buck? What did they trade?
They did in basically a show of good faith. They let him negotiate with ESPN, and then they traded. From right now, the only detail that we know is they traded the ability to select 2 college football games from Big Ten next year instead of 1. So they draft ESPN and Fox draft Big Ten games because they both have the package. So the most valuable entity is Ohio State, Michigan. So Fox always gets to pick first because they pay the most and they're the number 1 rights holder. So they pick first. ESPN picks second. Usually, and again, it's always an Ohio State game. So typically it's like the Penn State game at night. Well, this year, Ohio State opens with Notre Dame at home. So this year it's Notre Dame. So Fox will be able to have Ohio State, Michigan, and Ohio State, Notre Dame next year. That was part of this deal.
This side of the biz better than I do. Is that worth losing Joe Buck?
They were going to pay. I don't think they were going to pay Joe Buck anyway.
Okay,
it was just a matter of, and I don't know why. I don't know why they don't have the money to pay Joe Buck. I think it's silly. He's the only face Fox Sports has ever known. He's their Nance. He's been there since the mid-'90s. And by the way, he's given up a lot. He was going to call obviously every World Series. He was also going to call 2 of the next 3 Super Bowls are on Fox.
Yeah.
So he's given up, and he's not calling any Super Bowls at ESPN. They have none. Nothing. He's not calling an AFC championship game. Nothing. He's calling Monday Night Football, which, as Gibby said yesterday, that's a lot of Giants games in November.
Is it, though? Does this somehow
That's their hope.
Change the way that and bring Monday Night Football back?
That's clearly what ESPN is hoping 2 things. This will legitimize Monday Night Football, which will allow the NFL to give us real games and maybe make it a destination again.
Yep.
And the other thing that it will do is maybe it'll allow the league to be more open to us having a Super Bowl on ESPN.
All right, so we've got Nance and Romo. Of course it will. We've got Thursday Night Football on Amazon, where we have got Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit. We've got Fox with question mark. CBS, Nance and Romo. Thursday Night Football, Al and Herbstreit. Monday Night Football, Buck and Aikman. Sunday Night Football is Tirico and Collinsworth?
I would think that's how that's going to go.
And Fox is just totally
is
wide
Gus
open.
coming back to the NFL?
They don't want him. They're not going to have him to be number one lead. I've heard the most likely guy at Fox is Burkhardt. Is the most likely number 1 guy. But they don't even have a 2. I mean, I know they like Greg Olson a lot there. I know that Jay Cutler reached out. Remember, they had hired him before.
Does
maybe
Fox
Cutler
go and try to pluck Ian Eagle?
I don't think he's not voice of a network. He doesn't have that. I mean, he's a play-by-play guy. Like, you got to be a host. You got to be like a dude to be in that. I mean, you're going to talk to all the big money people. Like, I don't think so. I think they need to get – maybe they think Burkhardt is that. He's done some of that stuff before for them. Maybe he's the guy that they think can do it. But that's where you're at. Michaels, by the way, you saw his deal. Did you see his deal? $2 million a game.
What?
Yeah, that's what it looks like. It'll be or just around $2 million a game.
$2 million a game. He's doing 16 games, $2 million a game.
So he's making 32.
That's right.
So he's making almost double Aikman.
That's right.
And almost
more than
$2.5.
$2.5. Yeah, for Al Michaels next year on Amazon. Bezos will find that in the cushion of a spaceship. $2 million. But I don't know what set this off. I don't know why people. What I think is crazy is from ESPN's perspective. My God, do they have a lot of invested in Monday Night Football? And they also have. I mean, they have the Manning cast, which they promote heavily. Like, if you're Buck and Aikman, are you going to be cool with that?
10 games on the season, you go up against the Manning cast,
right? Which gets all the pub in the world on ESPN.
And the next day.
I guess they don't care because they're cashing the checks.
Now, I did read somewhere ESPN's total games are supposed to go up over the next few years.
They
upwards
are, in
of
the
like
new
23, 25. And that Levy and Riddick are still going to be the B team for those extra games. That Buck and Aikman are not going to do additional unless it's a playoff game.
Well, they have more playoff games this year, but they don't have NFC, AFC Championship, and they don't have the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And that's not changing anytime soon. Joe Buck, now this has all become official. Joe Buck reacted to joining ESPN. Here's what he had to say.
Hey, everybody, it's Joe Buck. I just wanted to take a second to tell you how excited, beyond excited I am to come to ESPN and to get to do Monday Night Football. Get to do it with Troy, get to do it with Lisa Salters, with John Perry, the entire crew. It's going to be an absolute blast. And for that guy back there, a young Jack Buck, I can't tell you how many times I went into a Monday Night Football radio booth with he and Hank Stram, and I sat there watching some of the greats to ever broadcast on television go into the Monday Night Football booth, never even thinking that I could end up there. And, well, here we are. I didn't see it coming, and gosh, I'm glad it did. Can't wait for the schedule to come out so we can find out where we're going to be each and every Monday night. I know you'll be there, too. It's going to be a blast. Can't wait.
I mean, his life got better. Your mic's off.
If only you had an on-air light. Yeah.
Sad.
Especially in the month of October.
Demarcation. Oh, yeah. I mean, he's not doing maybe he's just sick of baseball, man.
That's
Join
fair.
a long list of people who are. Maybe just sick of it. Maybe it didn't mean to him what it did. I mean, he called the World Series for 20 years, right? I mean, he has to have called more World Series games on television than anybody.
I think he's got young kids too. And
I mean,
they're probably
by the way,
wanting to stay home and spend a little more time.
Yeah, I mean that salary makes it pretty easy to chill.
Yeah,
and worry. You think? I mean, you could talk me into doing Giants Philly November 10th. At that rate, I'm in. I am absolutely
here's a
in.
big NFC East
Right.
showdown that
It's
means
the
nothing
Guardians
in December.
and the Giants on Monday Night Football.
Commanders.
Commanders,
we're gonna show
Guardians, it's all the
Cowboys for
same.
the fourth time.
It's all the same, isn't it? It's all the same.
By the way, Jack Buck, graduate of Lakewood High School.
He's as good as it gets. That
There
guy.
you go.
I did not know that. I didn't know that.
Alma mater.
All right, Ohio Business Machine, preferred copy or proprietor, Cleveland Browns. Of all the X's and O's for your office, call 216-485-2000 or visit ohiobusinessmachines.com. We wanted to do this. Wanted to see where we are right now as a football team from a roster standpoint. We will do that coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. The weather is cold outside. A nice hot bath or shower would feel amazing. Why not transform your bathroom into a custom bath? It'll feel like a spa. Let the Bath Authority make it a reality for you at a fraction of the cost of the competitors. The Bath Authority is Cleveland's premier bath and shower remodeler, factory trained installers. They are experts, my friends. It's where affordability meets quality. Largest selection of bath projects. They're all made in the United States. Change your bathroom from outdated to outstanding. They have acrylic tubs that insulate and keep the heat in. That's a novel concept. Tub to shower conversions, superior products, expert installers. Give them a call now for $500 off your next custom bath or shower remodel. The number is 216-220-8399 or go to thebathauthority.com. They can do this for you in about a day. And remember, $500 off right now. Tell them Beau sent you on that front. I have to make one correction, and this was as we were talking about the Joe Buck thing, in terms of him going to ESPN. He will have a chance. Chris, among others, letting me know that I was unaware of this. ESPN has the Super Bowl in 26 and 30.
I did not. I totally missed that.
Yeah, I missed that. And I remember when that new deal came up, I assumed that they would put that on ABC.
Yes.
Yeah, I would assume that they would put it on ABC. So this is, as I was looking at this deal, it is that changes it a little bit. He will have Super Bowls. It's still not all the stuff he was doing at Fox, but he's going to work less. He's going to work a lot less. His lifestyle is going to improve a lot, and he's going to make more.
Do we know what they're paying Peyton and Eli to do the Manning cast? Because it just seems like they have poured a ton of money into this in a game where they're going to try to have two competing broadcasts.
I
They
agree.
have a 3-year deal.
Their deal, though, is you have to remember this because they do this with the college football. Their deal is total viewers, all networks. So they won't hold it against. They have a cable view of it, not a network view of it. Cable view of it is everyone. We want everyone watching all of our channels. So that's how they do the college football playoff. Like they have the main one, and then they have all that stuff, all this stuff going on, team broadcasts and this. Just watch any of them. We want the hardcore people watch this, and you watch this. And they won't hold it against Buck and Aikman if the numbers aren't great because they understand that's part of the deal. So that's why they're doing that. They're throwing as much as they can at it. The next one will be interesting would be Manning. Like if he ever decides that he wants to get involved with this, like now would be the time to go to Fox. He didn't want to do the AFC because he had the Colts and the Broncos, didn't want to have to do that. He just did this deal with ESPN, but I have no idea who's going to be in the Fox booth. No clue.
It's
Same.
Look at all the guys they've lost. Charles Davis. Brady Quinn is doing college.
Yeah, they don't have anybody.
I mean,
and we love Charles, and I love Brady. I've known him for a long time. They are not on that level. Like Charles is awesome, but he's not Troy Aikman.
Correct.
Or Romo. Like that type of guy.
No.
He's not that. He does a great job, but you have to have – that's the deal with the number one thing is you have to be the people that go meet the people at the upfronts, the advertisers, the sponsors. You got to be that guy. You got to be the guy who goes and plays Cypress.
The closer.
Right? Here, go play Cypress with this guy who's the CEO of this company who wants to spend $200 million. I bet I have a guy who would be interested in that.
I'm good at golf.
I bet you would. That'd be great.
I think I'd be great in upfronts.
Be great in upfronts. The energy.
I can glad hand.
Miss K, who is a documentarian of just incredible renown.
Yes.
I saw some of the images, because I don't follow you on social, but I saw some of the images from Miss K from you at Disney, and your ability to just a hop, skip, and a jump through life. You really are. You really are Robin Hood and Little John, just skipping through the forest.
I did skip into a couple.
The entire time.
Just having the best time.
I had a great time.
Why wouldn't you?
It was great.
Of course.
Yeah.
But it's not just at Disney. Like in general, you skip through life. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
I absolutely love it.
A real zest.
You do have a real zest. All right, second hour. So we spent the first hour of the program discussing what we've done, what we're engaged in, what we're doing. We talked a lot about the Deshaun Watson situation, Baker's response as well. There's no reason to rehash that at this point. So let's move forward and see where we are right now as a football team. As the official league year set to begin here in about an hour and 54 minutes.
All right, so here's what your Browns starting lineup, and then I'll add in some key backups that we're aware of at this point. This is what it looks like right now if you're the Browns. Offense, quarterback, I don't know how to even I don't know how to answer this, but I'll say Baker Mayfield's your quarterback right now.
He's on the roster.
He's on the
He's
roster.
under contract, so he would be the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns.
And Case is still Case, who many people thought would be released at this point, is here as the backup as well. I still think that's a fluid room. Running back, Chubb, Hunt, Dearness Johnson was tendered. Feels pretty good there. Wide receivers, Cooper, DPJ, Schwartz, and then I'd say Felton is kind of your fourth right now as it is today. I think this is, again, it started as a big point of need. I think it remains a big point of need, and it remains something that, as we said all along, Andrew Berry typically attacks things in both free agency and the draft. So, in my opinion, there's still more work to happen there, and I think one of our first 2 picks will still be a wide receiver in this draft.
Agree.
Tight end, you've got Chief, you've got Harrison Bryant. I'd expect us to add one in free agency, and you've got stiff-arm Steve Carlson, who's been here busting his hump all the time, coming back to maybe be that 4th tight end. Your starting offensive line now looks like Jedrick Wills, Joel Bitonio, Nick Harris, Wyatt Teller, Jack Conklin. Your backups on the interior, Dunn and Hance. Your backup on the outside, Hudson. I think that they will add a veteran swing tackle here maybe in free agency, maybe try to get Chris Hubbard back. We'll see there. But I still think there's obviously people are going to be added here, draft free agency. And tight end could be a position where you add somebody as well. Defensively, here's where we've got, you get to the back 7, feeling real nice about where you are.
Yeah, for sure.
Front 4, not so much. So you've got Myles Garrett, great, wonderful. That's one defensive end. Your other defensive end, total question mark at this point. And then you've got Chase Winovich to be in maybe that tack role. I think this
Winovich would be that guy.
Yep, and I still think this has free agency and likely one of your first 2 or 3 draft picks looking at defensive end.
Yep.
Defensive tackle, now we have 3 guys that we feel pretty good about. In Jordan Elliott, Tommy Togiai, and we signed Taven Bryan. So that's kind of your top 3 rotation as of now. We still don't know what's going on with, Malik McDowell and where things stand with him with this football team and with the league.
Yeah, tough to say.
I think it's very tough to say. I still think you need to make an addition to this room somewhere in the draft, most likely, or another guy in free agency to find somebody who fits what you're looking for. Linebackers, you got Taki, you got Anthony Walker, you got JOK. Your starters, you're feeling really good about what you've got there at the starting spots, I think. Now,
oh yeah, I mean you have a ton of and even the depth isn't terrible.
No, well you've got
you're gonna have to add some guys.
Drafted Fields,
yeah,
and you've got some free agents that are out there. Like Elijah Lee is a free agent, Malcolm Smith is a free agent. So we'll see how that all gets sorted out. But you've got your top guys are there. Your secondary, I mean, you've got your top 5 corners: Ward, Newsome, Troy Hill, Greedy, AJ Green. Feel really good about that, as you should. Safeties, you got John Johnson, Delpit, then LeCount and Moffitt. MJ Stewart goes to the Texans. Ronnie, it feels like at this point Ronnie won't be back. I thought he played very, very well, but it just feels like at this point that's where they're headed there. There are some names, I think, available in free agency that fit what the Browns would be looking for from that dime safety role. But this could be another spot where maybe a free agent or a draft pick here. You feel pretty good. Now, the one thing we don't know is should if the Browns ultimately end up, landing a big quarterback that requires some assets, what goes with that? What are we crossing off of this list?
Yeah, I mean that'd be crazy to sit here and guess
you can't.
on what it would be.
No.
I think the thing that you take away from this, and this goes back, and if you want to circle this in and put a ribbon on the Watson conversation from earlier, this goes back to my point I've been making for the last couple of days on Watson, and whether regard to us or anybody else. If you're him, and you think about what other teams are going to have to give up to get me, what am I going to? What am I landing with, man? Am I going to land with a competitor? Deshaun Watson has a 4-year contract worth nearly $160 million. There is nothing, and this goes for us. This would go for the Saints. It would go for the Falcons. It would go for any team, the Panthers, any team that acquires him. He could absolutely force his way out.
Yes.
It's not a 10-year contract that he has. It's a 4-year deal. He's 26. If he wanted to be done by the time he's 30, he could be. Now, you'd try to work a long-term deal with him, obviously. You'd try to restructure it and do a long deal and hope you never have to deal with quarterback again for a decade and a half. I mean, that's the hope. But the reality is that he could, if he wants to. This deal he signed allows for flexibility for him. So if that's something that he wanted in the contract, it's there. So if you're him, if I'm him, I would say, where can I go right now and win now? I didn't play football. I lost a year of my prime. I'm about ready to make $35 million on the first year of this new contract. I want to go somewhere I can win right now.
Yep.
And we just went through our roster, the quarterback situation obviously needs a solution and clarity, that we know. You need another starting receiver. You have a star receiver. You need another starting receiver. Legitimate NFL starting receiver is needed. Whether in the draft or free agency, you need that. You really only need depth at tight end. Other than that, you're good.
Correct. And that's where
offensive line, depth. That's it. Everything else is loaded. It's the best offensive line. It's as good as any offensive line room in the country in the league. It's the best running back room in the league. The tight end room is more than fine. You need to get one more starter, I think, at receiver. I think that's something that's needed. Defensively, you need a starter opposite Miles.
Yep.
You need a starter at defensive tackle, maybe two, depending, but definitely I think one. Linebacker, you don't need anything. You're great. You need depth. That's it. Secondary, nothing. You're good. You want depth.
You want
that's
one
it.
more safety.
But all your starters are there.
You want one more safety.
You have stars in positions.
Oh, yeah.
Starters and stars in positions.
Yes.
So now you compare what I just did with the other teams that are in on him and compare rosters. And yes, it's tougher in the AFC. No question. It is. But for the next 4 years, you're still going to have to deal with Rodgers in the NFC.
And who knows how long.
And who knows how long you're going to have to deal with Brady.
Well, I think the Saints would have been significantly more appealing had Brady not been going there.
Agreed.
If Brady had stayed retired, I think, if you're the Saints, you're saying, couldn't you have waited 2 weeks to make this announcement? But I think that allows a team like the Browns to be potentially more in the mix with it than what's going,
And from the Texans' perspective, if it is us and you want picks and players, we have an ability to give up very good players and not cripple us.
Correct.
It'd be painful, but it wouldn't cripple us. Some of those other teams, Carolina gives up really good players. It pretty much cripples them. Their roster's not like our roster. The same would be true of the Saints. The same would be the Falcons. I don't even know what they would give up. I don't know what you'd want other than the picks. Pitts, like who's he going to throw to?
Right. That's exactly.
No Ridley. Like,
right.
What are you doing? So
I don't know.
The exercise we just did kind of proves the point of why, if there is momentum or if there's an ability to acquire him, what we just laid out is probably example one of why.
No, this is a team that, again, now we have to also be factoring in that should the Browns, with Baker, you have your full draft complement, right? Without Baker and somebody else being quarterback, that means that you can probably cross pick 13 off.
I think that seems like a lock.
Right? So now you're going to have a 2, 2 3s. I think you have 2 4s, 2 5s, if I'm not mistaken. But you picked up pick 99 for Kwesi going to the Vikings. So you'd still have 3 of the top 100 picks, which you should have 3 of the first 96. Now you wouldn't have 1 of the first 32, which you certainly would want.
Yeah.
But you would have a different quarterback situation. But then you also don't know if all of this were to happen, right? If the Browns were to land a different quarterback, Baker would not be the Browns quarterback.
Correct.
And you would get assets for Baker. So it's hard to even kind of fathom what the scenario would look like in that case. If Baker stays, you know exactly what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's what your draft class is right now is what your draft class is going to be. Now you may move around and use some assets for players, things like that, but for the most part, that's what it would be. It's going to be a wild time here because in some ways, we as an organization now have, I think, 3 paths, right? Path 1 is that Watson says, I want to go play for the Browns.
Yep.
We know that the Browns, because of the way this has been structured by the Texans, that the Browns have made an offer that the Texans have accepted. If Watson says, I also accept and want to go there, that's what it would be. Okay? So you would have Watson come to the Browns. That's path 1. Path 2, And I'm not ordering them in preference. I'm just saying these are the 3 choices. Path 2 is that Baker Mayfield, who has been your quarterback, plays here in his 5th-year option with an attempt to say, I'm the franchise quarterback of the Cleveland Browns.
He clearly loves it here.
Loves the city, as you saw from that emotional letter that he wrote to this great city. That would be option 2. And then option 3 is that it's somebody who is neither Deshaun Watson nor Baker Mayfield. And that could look like somebody else who becomes available in a trade as a result of where Watson goes, or somebody that trade that I was talking about earlier. If that happens, maybe that means somebody's available. Garoppolo, then you get into, do you think Marcus Mariota can run this off?
It's a whole nother
set of wild possibilities. Jameis, Matt Ryan, all kinds of possibilities over there. Who knows what that looks like? But that's where we are. And in essence, as an organization, we're it's hard to fully, and I'm sure the Browns have plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. As we told you, it's the P's, right? They are prepared without question. They've got a plan. They have a process to implement that plan. And they've got poise. They're very poised people.
That's right. Yeah. They would have saw all of this
coming.
They would have known all of it and would have weighed the positives and negatives of that long, long ago, long before yesterday. I assure you of that. We'll get you updated on some of the latest signings from yesterday. A lot of our former guys switching teams. I haven't gotten your thoughts on what the Steelers did at quarterback. This was someone that had a lot of juice at the combine, and they have a new quarterback there in Pittsburgh. We'll get into all of that coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Car, truck, or motorcycle accident caused you injury. Call the injury lawyers at 1-800-ELK, Ohio for a free case review. Elk & Elk is a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Some signings from yesterday for a lot of guys we know. Money Mitch to the Patriots. Now that would be fun. I'd like to see
Money
him just.
Mitch
I'd like to see Money
and
just
Belichick
operating Foxborough would be comedy.
Oh my
if
God!
We could get a view of that. I would love
Oh,
that.
Big Bill, love you, Big Bill.
Just amazing. Like I just think that would be.
Do you think he'll call him Big Bill?
I don't know. I feel like Money Mitch can almost call anybody anything, and you just have to be okay with it.
Yeah, getting a name from him is a huge thing.
Don't you think? Like
Yes.
it's just the way he says it. I feel like you'd co-sign it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's all good, whatever he says. So he lands in New England. Carl Nassib was released by the Raiders. That happened this morning.
Yeah, and I think we know why now.
I think we do because we just have this in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah,
But you really need your thing, like some sort of a free agent, like the draft, how they have that
like
music.
a
Yeah.
chime.
You need a chime or something so you can weigh in.
Yeah, Chandler Jones going to the Raiders. So
I don't understand what they're doing as an organization.
Offenses have become in the AFC
I
West.
really don't.
Since Monday, the defenses in the AFC West have loaded up.
Yeah, because
I mean-
Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson go to the Chargers. Here's what I don't understand. If you are the Raiders, I don't understand what you're attempting to do here.
They're going for it, and
But
so
they don't have a team to go for it. They don't.
listen.
And anybody from the outside would be able to say that. They are going to – someone has to finish fourth in that division. It's going to be them. It's going to be them. Now, 4 teams from a division can make the playoffs now. I mean, it's really brutal. It's really brutal. And to me, they are so far – I mean, what's happened with them with their recent first-round picks?
Awful.
Go ahead, Gibby.
So they released Nassib. They signed Chandler Jones 1 minute ago from the rap sheet. Raiders pass rusher Yannick Ngakoue expected to be traded to the Colts in a deal that includes corner Rock Yassin.
I remember him in the
No idea
draft.
what the Raiders are doing.
And
I don't
everybody's been
either.
going crazy about how they would have Max Crosby, Yannick Ngakoue, and Chandler Jones. So that is
Now they don't.
now
No,
they,
they don't.
That gives the Colts a very good pass rusher, and Ngakoue will be very good on turf, as you saw certainly with the Raiders a year ago. So Jones is in, Ngakoue is out. This feels to me like they are they've got to be going for it. You don't bring in Chandler Jones at $17 million.
But what else? I guess my point is, though, they're not a Chandler Jones away. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, they're a lot away. I mean, they lost a first-round receiver to manslaughter. Like,
Gone. Zay
Gone.
Jones gone.
Zay Jones gone. Damon Arnett was a first-round pick out of Ohio State. Did stupid stuff on Instagram. He's gone. Like, they had the kid from Mississippi State, the safety, who we liked his attitude, but now he's playing linebacker. Like, they're not there, man.
No.
Even Josh Jacobs, who they took in the first round, he's fine.
Solid. Yes.
He's totally fine.
No, their best player is Waller on offense, Max Crosby,
Yeah.
and now Chandler Jones.
They have a
on
couple of
defense.
really nice pieces, but they're not a Chandler Jones away from trying.
No.
So it's like, what are you doing?
Well, and because Chandler Jones is now just an upgrade over Ngakoue, he's not an addition to
That's the-
Ngakoue.
and that's it. If you keep them and you say, all right, well, this now puts us over the top.
Yes.
Now we can beat Kansas City. Now we can beat the Chargers. Now we can beat Denver with Russell Wilson. It doesn't do that.
Yep.
Like, if I were them, I would have went the other way. I would have gone the other way. I would have fire sale. And I would look, we're here. Everybody loves us. We gave you a playoff berth in year one. Let's get some smart people here who we've hired from New England. Let's get some smart people here. Let's draft really well. Let's get some assets. I mean, heck, you mentioned we talk about Carr. I mentioned Carr last week about this. Like, I would put him up for auction. If you get a first-round pick for Derek Carr,
Why wouldn't you?
why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
What are you holding on for? What are you trying to go 9-8? What's the objective? I don't understand it. That makes no sense to me. None.
Again, we're talking about the talent on the offensive side of the ball in the AFC West. This from Lindsey Jones, AFC West defensive lineman. Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Bradley Chubb, Randy Gregory, Chandler Jones, Max Crosby, Chris Jones, Frank Clark.
It's loaded.
That
Oh, my
whole
God.
division
But
Both
like
sides.
we can all agree that Vegas is the clear fourth
Clear.
by a wide margin.
They're
Like,
going for it, though.
but
they have to
they're
be.
all in.
They have to be.
I don't know what they're going for.
You don't pay Chandler Jones $17 million and then make a move, which
It
makes
just
you think.
feels like there's no. I don't know what move could they make that would.
I thought they were doing some fire sale stuff earlier. Maybe I don't think they are anymore. It feels
clearly not.
It
I
feels
just don't
quite
know.
different.
Although I don't know if anything they're doing makes rhyme or reason, because to me, I don't know how they would stack the deck enough. They're so far behind the other three. I don't know who they could acquire that would get them on the level. It's hard to imagine. It'd be one thing if they didn't have the issues they've had with their first-round picks. So they're doing that. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they're in the Mitch Trubisky business. He gets a 2-year deal in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh now has Trubisky, Haskins, and Rudolph at quarterback, and apparently they're all going to compete. I can't imagine it's not Trubisky.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
Now, they only paid him, 2 years, 14, which, by the way, insane that a year ago he was a 1 year, 2.5, doesn't play, backs up Josh Allen, and now he's a 2 year, 14.5. Good for Mitch. I think that he will give them certainly some mobility that they did not have whatsoever at the quarterback position. We'll see. This is the worst quarterback situation they have had in a long time in Pittsburgh.
Cordell Stewart, Tommy Maddox.
Yeah.
There was that
Good.
run. Yeah. I mean, they're due it. I mean, they had Roethlisberger for a really, really long time, so they're due to have one of these. I thought this was a big loss for the Bengals yesterday. C.J. Uzomah going to the Jets. He was a huge locker room guy for them and a real safety outlet for Joe Burrow. So he goes to the Jets. I don't know that they anticipated losing him, but they do. They did beef up their offensive line in a very big way, though.
Yeah, and they're a darn good football team. I mean, that's
a team that's going, like, they're in it. They're in the Super Bowl. Like, go be aggressive. Right now's the time. That's not the Raiders.
It doesn't feel like it is the Raiders just because of what they've got to deal with in their division. They were able to take advantage of the Bengals to get into the dance, and then they did what they needed to do to get there, and very impressive that they did so. But what they needed to do was take advantage of a down year in our division. The Ravens weren't what the Ravens were expected to be. We were certainly not what we were expected to be. And then the Steelers snuck in which was just mind-boggling that they made it in, but they did.
I don't even still think in retrospect they wanted to.
But, I mean, even if you look at,
say, they were like, let's just play the last game, be out. That's the way it looked.
If you look at where the Bengals were last year, just take their offense. You had Burrow, Chase, Higgins, Mixon, Tyler Boyd as the third, and Uzomah. The skill position players in Oakland are Hunter Renfrow, Waller, Jacobs, Carr. Correct. But who are the other two receivers?
Not Henry Ruggs.
That I don't know.
No, right. I mean, and you're not in a depleted division like what happened to us in this division a year ago. Like if Lamar Jackson played Lamar Jackson didn't play last year.
That's right.
Baker played with a bum shoulder. Like we were banged up. We didn't play a game that the Browns and Ravens last year did not play a single regular season game as they intended to play it.
No.
Both teams.
No.
And in many instances, played multiple games without the roster they thought they were going to have. Multiple games. Big losses. Huge positions.
Huge positions. Yeah.
And that is not going to be the case in the NFC West. It's not. So, the Jacksonville Jaguars spent like crazy.
Yep.
Absolutely spent like crazy. Just drunken sailors spending like crazy. They let DJ Chark go. They signed Christian Kirk. There was also talk earlier in the week that Laviska Shenault could be available as well for them. Like they want to just reset at receiver, which I thought was strange when with Lawrence. That I understand what they're doing because that division, they have the best quarterback in that division if he is 90% of what people think he is. So I get how they would want to put him in a position to succeed. I just thought some of the spending was wild.
Very wild. I could see them trying to, they definitely think they can maybe make a run in their division, but it does feel wild. Chark got, 1 year 10 with the Lions? The Lions actually have a nice little group now. You got DJ Chark, Reynolds, who played well for them down the stretch, Amon-Ra St. Brown, DeAndre Swift, and TJ Hawkinson. They've called together a nice little skill position group for Jared Goff. Yeah,
and they pick high, and they pick second. So they'll have an opportunity to improve the team even more there. So, yeah, I mean, and again, there's still a lot out there in free agency.
Yep.
There is still a lot out there in free agency. We'll go through some of the names that are still out there and some of the latest rumors in free agency as the league year is set to kick off here in about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Oh, for Char Whiskey Bar and Grill in Rocky River, enjoy over 300 whiskeys, craft cocktails paired with made-from-scratch menu items. Char is coming out with very rare bourbons this week. Oh, are they?
Oh.
So stop in and try something new. Dine in or carry out for brunch, lunch, or dinner. Support local. Visit Char Whiskey Bar and Grill in Rocky River or at charrockyriver.com. I'll have to talk to Gabe and see
weekends of the year.
See what he's got going on over there.
Catch some hoops.
Tomorrow is this is a First Friday. Tomorrow is a Pantheon Thursday. Tomorrow is 70 degrees. It is St. Patrick's Day. It is the first round of the NCAA tournament. I don't know that that's as good as St. Patrick's Day can be in Cleveland. You're not doing better than that.
I mean, I have back in the promotions days.
Oh God,
working. If you knew that St. Patty's Day was going to be 70 degrees, you were expecting the ultimate blank show.
Oh,
and you got it before 10 a.m. There is Casey Coulis and I back in the ESPN days.
Sure.
Like, we would be helping the bar load people into the back of cabs and hand them IDs, the cab driver, an ID going, take this person home. They're passed out in the bar. It's 9:30 in the morning.
Let me ask you this, Gibby. So, married with children, as I currently am, I am not going to partake in a St. Patrick's, like my St. Patrick's Day with the children will involve probably me having a Guinness. I would probably have a little Bushmills Black Bush or maybe a Redbreast 15-year. Either way,
Redbreast, sure,
a real win right there. Maybe an honor, but it will be very low key. I know you'll be Jameson, and that's great too. But I love a Guinness. I mean, I enjoy a Guinness. I think it's great. Fergal Murray, my guy Fergal Murray, the way he shows you how to pour a Guinness, I just like hearing him talk about it. The gaze, I love that. And the savor. I love a Guinness. You have to have the savor. I enjoy it. You had one at the Combine. It's gorgeous.
I love a good Guinness.
So if I was,
that blew my mind, unlike anything that.
Well, we had a bunch of tequila, and then you went. That was an incredible curveball with the Guinness.
He went Guinness.
I just stayed in the tequila world, but you went Guinness at the late.
That's the only beer I'll drink now. I actually enjoy it.
Yeah, it's good.
It is good. It's light. It's flavorful.
People think it's heavy because it's dark, but it's really not. It's a very, very light beer. But I was going to ask you, like, if I was single and freewheeling it, and I was trying to do Cleveland right St. Patrick's Day, what would I do? What does that entail? What is doing it right?
I mean, there's two prime opportunities that you can capitalize on getting space in a bar, whether it's a seat.
So it's downtown. I'm going downtown.
Yes.
I mean, you can start out in the burbs. I'm not big parade guy.
Okay, so we got a big parade downtown is what you do?
I'm not the
Do we dye anything green?
I actually take full advantage of the parade as the opportunity because everybody leaves the bar at like noon.
Oh, and then you get
then I just slide into a bar seat.
Of course you do.
You know, I mean, that's
in.
I am an ultimate fan of kegs and eggs. I will start at 6 a.m. and no problem.
Wow. All right.
And you just got.
Do we dye anything green?
It is a marathon. It is not a sprint.
Yeah.
You are not trying to get somewhere.
Well, that's true.
You are in it for the long haul.
Okay.
Pace yourself.
I saw like Chicago dyes the river green. Do we dye anything green?
No, but it will be a holiday. There will be thousands upon thousands of people descending downtown tomorrow.
If I was out in the mix, which I'm not because we're obviously doing a show. But
can you imagine if the world – I don't think the world would have ever allowed for us to both be in the mix at the same time. I don't know if there's enough.
It would have been so great.
It would have been
a tremendous.
It would have been a lot of Night at the Roxbury vibes, except we would have had more success, but there would have been a lot of it.
A lot of that.
Yeah.
I would – back in the day, I would trot out my I have a white with green numerals, I believe a yellow gold trim Joe Montana Notre Dame.
Oh, the Notre Dame Joe,
which is a solid. I love it. Solid jersey.
I love it.
Oh yeah.
There was one year I dressed as a 6'8" leprechaun with black tights.
Is there a picture of this?
For a radio stunt? Oh, there was more than a picture.
Oh my God!
And I'd like to see it.
It ended up as part of the Watch and Win tapes that you would get for like radio promotions.
Yeah.
Went out to 50,000 homes in the Cleveland area.
Oh,
and I was
my
on the
God.
cover.
Well, we'll need to see that
Yes,
as soon as
please.
possible.
My parents were watching the morning newscast, whatever, and they were at downtown, the one Irish bar, right over by the Q, Flannery's.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And that's where we were set up. And my mother was like, "Oh, my God." And my father comes running. He's like, "What?" She's like, "Look at the TV." And there was me doing shots at 6 a.m., doing a radio hit in an leprechaun outfit and black tights.
That's great.
Black tights, by the way, I had to cut out the crotch because the tights weren't big enough, and I had to duct tape them to my leg.
What was the last thing you said?
No.
I heard something about duct tape.
I had to duct tape the tights to my leg to keep them up.
Okay.
I was about ready to say the next level is next.
No.
We'll see you.
I cleaned it. It's clean.
I didn't
It's
know.
clean.
I didn't know where that was going.
Walked the parade
Owen
route.
Owen Murphy, who I feel like with that name would know, has just sent me a picture of the Hyatt downtown, which looks raucous.
That's a new hotspot. I'm
That's
not familiar.
incredible.
I know on the west side of town, the Cam's Corner neighborhood is legendary for a good St. Patty's ruckus.
Oh, that's where we had the
West
remote
Park Station.
Yeah.
That whole area is great. My little neighborhood bar, the VIP, will be rocking. I think there could be a Gibbs appearance at the VIP tomorrow night.
God, when you walk in, is it Norm from Cheers situation?
No,
Gibby!
no,
It should be.
It should be.
no.
That's all I want for you.
There might be-
I want you to have one place that's your joint that when you come in, it's
do
a Gibby.
though.
Where is that?
The
I mean,
trolley house?
The trolley house. I have a little rep.
That's what I want.
Yeah,
That's
what
for
I
wanna
sure
do.
he does.
I may be depending on how busy we get over the next few days or not busy. I might be with Mr. Trotter at the trolley over the next couple days.
Oh my gosh. Well, he's going to be busy.
Where's my invite?
Well, you live on the east side. I mean, you're welcome to join us if you'd like.
When is this?
Probably Friday.
In the eve?
Yeah.
In the eve.
Watching a little tournament.
God, tournament's going to be great.
I just might be available, Gibby.
Well, that's a game changer.
Gosh, look at that. Brings
I'll-
the girl
I'll-
into the
I'll-
mix.
I know the owner. We'll get you a case of Guinness if you'd like, or just a bunch of tequila.
Might be available.
Oh my gosh, a free agent this weekend.
Whoa.
Could be. As far as I am aware, Friday night the missus has plans with the ladies.
So does my wife.
Oh
She's
my
got a
God,
little
look what
night
just
out on a
happened
Friday
here.
night. She's
Oh.
like, "Go live." I said, "You might regret that decision."
Oh, baby.
I like it. I like it. Notre Dame playing tonight, by the way, speaking of the Irish. So tomorrow early, you'll have Michigan, Colorado State in the early window. Ohio State is on Friday in the noonish window. So you time that up
believe
nicely.
The rumor might be that we will not be on Friday because of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yeah, there you go. Just looking to see. Yeah. I like that. Really stretch out. Stretch out and live a little bit. We did get the Chandler Jones news here to the Raiders, but everything else, it does, guys. Honestly, we spent a lot of time talking about this, but it does feel like everyone is waiting on Watson. That the league is kind of a little bit on hold right now,
Yep.
waiting on the Watson decision in terms of the free agency. We're an hour and 15 minutes from the start of the new league year, and everything's just basically paused for the time being.
Man, my guy Doug Patterson says Guinness is the worst 12-pack I ever bought. Ended up checking over half down the drain. Well, I would have taken it.
I don't know why. Why would any? I don't know. I think it's.
If you're looking for an American lager and that kind of something hoppy, that's not what it is.
No, it's a creamy. It's a very different experience.
A wonderful one, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's a wonderful experience. Yeah, I don't have it on the reg. He's Walker.
It's great. It's great.
I mean, it's a conscious decision, right?
Yes, of course it is.
Yeah.
He's got to be a fan.
Yeah, this is from Josh. He just did apparently there was a bar crawl this weekend at Cam's Corner.
Was a blast.
So they did St. Patty's Day over the weekend too?
There's a potential. There's a strong potential.
Just make it a whole week?
There was one year, I don't even remember what bar we were in. We had a remote going. The remote ended. My good friend Morrison from Budweiser, Anheuser-Busch, comes up to me and says, "What are you doing right now?" I said, "I don't know. The remote just ended. I got to tear down." He goes, "You have a crew to do that?" I said, "Sure." He goes, "Let's go. Grab your wife. We're hopping in a limo with the Yingling girls, and we're going bar hopping."
Of the non-traditional holidays that are associated with
Oh my God.
good times.
Yeah.
I mean, our St. Patty's Day and Cinco de Mayo just like they're in a class all to themselves. Like I don't even know.
Cinco de Mayo was growing up. Cinco de Mayo didn't exist.
Agreed.
Did not exist. Growing up in Montana, there was no point of reference. St. Patty's Day for sure.
Yeah.
Certainly once I got into college.
In
and
California,
it was all about.
it was out there, as you
Yeah,
well know.
And then when I moved to Florida, I was like, oh, wonderful. Look at this. Another time to have a fiesta. What a treat.
Tacos and tequila.
A huge win.
Undefeated.
Love it. It's undefeated. Yeah, I think they're both great.
I definitely agree with you, Z. It's
Cinco
on
de
the
Mayo is
rise.
way better from a food standpoint. Like, what are you leaning on
For
with Irish food? It's a tough sell.
Heavy.
Tough.
It's a little heavy.
Tough sell.
Like,
Shepherd's pie.
Corned beef.
Let me tell you something. I had in the Harry Potter's Wizarding World, I had a shepherd's pie empanada that was shockingly delightful.
An empanada version.
Yeah. So you could like kind of walk and eat it.
I like that. I love anything that you can
Did
eat
that
and
cost
walk.
you $25?
At least. Let me
you
go
can't
ahead
worry
and
about that.
No. Money.
If you sign
you
up
have
for
to
that,
just-
you got to check it at the door.
Their ability to just remove money from your person while you are there is extraordinary.
Really is. Yeah.
It's incredible. And they know that when you're at Epcot or you're at like the parks that do have some booze available to the adults, they know you want it, and they're like,
you're going to pay, kid.
you're going to pay $15 to have a little margarita.
That's what you're going to do.
And you're going to do it gladly.
Oh, you don't want a well pour? Well, that'll be $27.50.
And you're going to pay for a couple lightning lanes. And then the best ride in each park is not available through that $15 per person for the lightning lane. So you're going to throw another $15 per person on top of what you've already paid just to get into the parks.
They did that. They got me with that at Cedar Point last year. So we did like
we
were in lines forever, and it was like, okay, like I'm done. So we go to the thing, and they're like, oh, you do this pass, and it was like whatever it was going to be. Like I want to say it was like $100 a kid or something to be able to go in these fast passes. So then we go to get in Maverick, and it's like, well, yeah, but that fast pass doesn't work on this. For this, you need this pass. Wait, what?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just tell me what the number is.
So
I'll do it then. Just give me the number that gets me to the front of the lines, man.
Why can't the fast pass just it gets you on 4 rides?
Right.
That's what it used to be,
want.
but not anymore.
Now they're hierarchy of rides.
Hierarchy. So, like, for example, even at Universal. So Universal you can get this. So Universal was $200 just to get in the door. To have access to both parks.
It was $55 the last time I was there.
They have 2 parks now. They have Universal and they have the Islands of Adventure. Now, meanwhile, Harry Potter Land is in both places. So if you want to do just experience Harry Potter, you need to get this park hopper. I don't know what they call it. They call it 2 park pass, not a park hopper. That's Disney.
So you can't go into it without both passes?
You could go to
or one side
of it or the other. So they get you there. Then at Universal, they do fluctuating based on demand to get like the express passes. That could be up to $400 a person more to get the expresses where you can use all the express lanes. But they don't work at the Velocic. They don't work at like the 3 best rides
that you want.
So you don't want that.
But is there a pass that I can get to the front of those lines?
That's called the VIP experience, which will set you back $10K for 6 hours for your party. And then you cut every line.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
There is a reason why I do not go to any of these places.
Yeah.
I
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll tell you what, kids. We're gonna go on a plane. We're gonna go to a little place called the Riviera Maya, and it's all you can eat, all you can drink, and swimming galore.
God.
So, like, the only time I've ever done Universal like that, obviously, was the first time I'd ever gone to this park. So I'm like, this is great, and I did it that way because The Miz had actually done an ad for Universal.
Yeah, right.
And so they said, okay, and as part of your compensation for the ad, you can come here one time and have.
And we'll treat you the right way.
It was bonkers.
Of course it was.
Literally just walk on.
Best
every
time
ride.
ever.
Best time ever. Doing that and then going nothing. In fact, it was so booked because it was first week of spring break. Now we did it perfectly. We had a great day at Universal. Could not have been better. The Velocicoaster is one of the most fun rides ever. Miss K at the conclusion of it was in tears, legit in tears.
That's great.
Because she was just so thankful that it was over. Like,
just done.
It's the fastest, craziest roller coaster I've ever been on, but they don't harness you over the top at all. They only harness you kind of across your waist, like below your waist. So you do get a little.
Is that the dueling one where they duel?
No, this is the Velasquez. This is like brand new.
Oh, okay. So
this shoots you. Then you go up and you have like almost a complete free fall. Then they flip you upside down. You go upside down super fast for a while, just like straight up upside down. And then they have at the end a corkscrew where you're only like 10 feet off the water. So you corkscrew you're very close to the water.
Sure.
It's electric. I mean, it was the most, I was giggling. My Arden said I sounded like the little dude who sits on Jabba the Hutt. That's what I sounded like throughout that ride. And then I looked over and sweet Miss K was in tears. Sad.
So much more to come. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. If a car, truck, or motorcycle accident caused you injury, call the injury lawyers at 1-800-ELK Ohio for a free case review. Elk & Elk is a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. The official league year set to start in about an hour and 4 minutes. Could be an interesting next hour or so. The next level will have you covered on all of that. We are back tomorrow. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.